Hello there folks, and thanks for joining me at my tying bench once again. I know it's been a long time since I've had a video out. I sort of injured my shoulder and arm here quite a while back, and I've been dealing with that for quite a while. And just starting to get a little bit better now, and I figured it's time I got another video out for you. And I chose a fly that's not real hard to tie. It's an old classic wet fly pattern. It's the Professor. And as you probably realized in past videos of mine, I like to change up the material sometimes, add a little twist to it. And for this particular pattern, I decided to use some dubbing for the body instead of the original yellow floss, some UV dubbing. And I just thought I'd show you how I throw this one together, and it's a good old classic fly. I thought you might want to see this one, so I'll get him out. Fresh hook in, and I'll get started. Now I'm tying on the big size for you here at number 8. I tie him from an 8 down to a 16, so we'll get the hook locked in the vise here for you. And I'm using UTC 70 denier in black for the thread, because we're using a dubbing body, so I'm not worried about the black showing through. Floss, if I was using floss for the body, I would use a white thread first and then switch. So we'll start right behind the eye here first thing, and get a thread base going back. And I'm not worried about touching wraps for this fly. I'm just tying these for fishing flies for myself, so I'm not going to be too fussy on them. Okay, we'll come back almost to the barb now. For the tail, I'm using some red saddle hackle fibers, and I chose the, you want to use the webbier stuff down towards the bottom. So I'm just going to pinch off a little bunch here for the tail, not too heavy a tail, not too thin. And I want that about the hook shank length, so we'll bring that back and we'll pinch that in on top here, the pinch wrap. Okay, we'll come up and make some wraps forward. Okay, there's our tail. Now I'll trim that to where I would want the body to end, more or less here. Okay, so I'm going to cover that excess tailing material up towards the eye here. Wrap forward. Alright, now I'm using some UV check nymph dubbing. It's a nymph dubbing, which is it's good for wet flies because it sinks well. You can use any yellow dubbing you wish, whichever you prefer, but I just have this on hand, so I'm going to use it. And the UV never hurts, so I'll get some of that out here. I find this dubs well without wax, so I just moisten the thread a little bit. We'll get a noodle started here. Whoops, sorry folks. You can tell I haven't done a video for a while. I gotta add the rib. Sorry about that. Now for the rib, I changed it up a little too. You could say I'm using, calls for a gold tinsel rib, but I'm using gold tinsel, but it's a holographic tinsel. It's a little bit, got a little more sparkle to it. So I'm gonna tie that in on the far side here. So bring my thread up here and catch that in. And I'm going to wrap that back to right in front of the tail here. Okay, flip that back around, then I'm going to come back forward again about halfway. You don't have to go all the way up there. We're just going to dub the body now. Okay, now I'll moisten that thread again here and start a noodle of my UV yellow dubbing here. And it's not a bright yellow, it's more of a pale yellow. You can use bright yellow, whichever yellow you have on hand will work. I'm sure the trout aren't gonna fuss about it too much. Alrighty. Now we'll come back and we'll jump right in front of our tail there, make a wrap. Then we're gonna go forward. And I like to build a little taper towards the front. Not a lot, just a slight taper towards the eye of the hook there. Dub a little bit more on. Finish up the body here. Okay. It's always good to do a little at a time, because you can always add some. It's a lot harder to take it off once you get it on there, as you know. Okay. Just going to finish that up there. Alright, that's good right there. There we go, folks. There's our body, and you can see the slight taper there. Alrighty, so now we're just going to take our gold holographic tinsel here, come around, And I usually make about 4 to 5 wraps here for the rib. Try to get your wraps evenly spaced. Okay, looks like 4 on this guy, so we'll come around, tie that tinsel off there. Couple wraps forward, and I'll fold it back, lock it in place really well. Snip off that tag end of tinsel. There's enough there for another fly if I want to use it. Alright, now for the hackle, which I thought I already had out and ready. Just bear with me, folks. I gotta grab some hackle here. I like to use soft brown hen hackle for the collar. Now, I don't use expensive stuff for these. I just have some Chinese hen neck here, soft hackle. And I'll pull one out here, the proper size hackle for this fly. I like the hackle barbs to come back just about to the barb or past the point a little ways. It's good. But like I said before, the fish aren't going to look at your fly and say, well, I'm not going to take that, the hackle's a little long. I don't think you don't have to worry about that. So you don't have to be overly picky if you're tying it for a fishing fly like I am. But you still want it to look half decent. So alright, I got a hackle here. I'm just going to strip all that fuzzy stuff off the bottom. I don't want that. And I'll pull those fibers back and prepare the tip here to tie in. Just like so. Okay, so we'll tie that tip in here, right where I ended my thread, the front of the body there. Wrap forward on that. Then we're going to fold that back, lock it in place really well, and I'm going to come in and snip that, or pull or snip that little tip out, and I got a few fibers there I want to trim as well. Alrighty. Alright, so now we're going to wrap that. So grab my little plunger style pliers here. I find these great for grabbing a hold of these stems on soft hackles. Alright, I'm just going to stroke those fibers back here. And we'll proceed to wrap forward. And I like to put about 3 or 4 wraps in. It's generally what you get off these little hackles anyway. So we'll come around, and I'm going to tie off that stem there. Just going to put my bobbin up around, pull tight, regain my thread tension there on that stem. A couple more wraps forward, then I'll fold him back, lock it in place. Then I'll reach in, keep my thread tension, and give it a little snap, and that'll pull right out. It doesn't pull out for you every time, but most of the time. Now I'm going to pull them hackles down and back at the same time to sort of form a beard style on the fly. Want most of the hackles going down. Just going to wrap back on them there. Okay, that's good. That sort of deal is what you're looking for. And if I get a couple right on the top, sometimes I'll just pluck them out. Just like so. Alrighty. Okay, there's our hackle, folks. The beard on a fly, hackle collar. Now, for the wing, I got some mallard plank here. And there's 2 ways you can do it here. When I make my wings, you can find a good mallard plank feather like this with the even tips along the top. You can't just take them and bunch them all together in your fingers like so and tie the wing in. That's one way you can do it. But you can do it this way. You get a feather that's even, then just cut a little V-notch in it. And what you do, just take your thumb and forefinger and push down and fold it at the same time, like so, and then stroke the fibers back. And that will form a nice straight wing for you too. Keep your fibers going back well, like so. And the wing, I like to come back, like always, about halfway or so, a little more on it. Doesn't hurt if you go back a little farther than halfway. Okay, we're going to pinch that in on the top here. Just like so. And before I keep going, I'm going to check that, make sure it's straight on the top. That looks great. So I'll make a couple more wraps forward. A little more tension on those forward wraps. Okay, that looks good for the wing. It's right on top. Now I'm going to come in and trim those butt ends on an angle, slight angle there. And my wing moved on on me a little bit, so I'm gonna adjust that. That still looks good, folks. Now I'm gonna move my thread to right behind the eye here. Then I'm gonna wrap forward back towards the wing over top them wing butts with some nice tight wraps, locking that in really tight. And we'll form our head at the same time here. Just like so. There we go. Just about got it there, folks. And there we have it. Done deal. Okay, so next, just gonna grab my whip finisher here. And we'll do a 4 or 5 turn whip finish. I'll smooth the thread out there a little bit. And we'll do a whip on this guy. We'll go from back to front here towards the eye. There we go. That's great. Okay. Alright, so now we want to give a good tug on that to lock our whip finish in nice and tight. And I'll come in and snip that out. Just like so. And there we go. Another size 8 Professor. There we go. Just a good old classic pattern that I changed up a couple of materials in it. So now we'll take some UV bone dry resin here, just to give that a nice shiny head on it. I like to use that on my wet flies, just gives them a nice glossy head. But like I say, it doesn't really matter, just use whatever you have. Head cement lacquer will do the trick just fine. Alright, I'll bring in my little light here and we'll cure this up. It only takes a few seconds with this bone dry. It don't take long to set up at all. And there we have it. Done deal. Another size 8 Professor wet fly. Just one of the good old classic patterns, and you can do that on a lot of different classic patterns. You can tie them and change up the materials and substitute if you wish, just to make them a little different. That's something I enjoy doing, so don't hesitate to give that a try on a lot of your patterns. And you never know, sometimes they might even, we know they all work now, but it could even improve the pattern. You never know. It's all up to the trout, that's for sure. So anyway, feels good to make another video, so I hope to get videos out a little bit sooner in the future, but I'm still going through some troubles with my arm there and stuff, and waiting on going for some tests and stuff. And I also plan on, just to let you know, I plan on trying to get a couple fishing videos on the channel this time around, coming up soon. But right now outside it doesn't look much like fishing season where I am. There's a lot of snow out there and that doesn't look that good, but I'm sure it'll melt pretty quick. So anyway, like I said, thanks for joining me, and if you'd like to, put a like down below and hit that good old subscribe button if you wish as well, and any comments, throw them down below and I'll definitely read them. So until next time, everyone, like I always say, happy tying out there, and I shall see you all again soon, and so long for now.